it requires very little money. I mean, if you show up into a new town with a cell phone, and the ability to go knock on doors, you can pull data to find potential distressed buyers, potential people who might be leads, and you can go knock on their door. I mean, literally for $100, you could get involved in wholesaling and make astronomical profits. And that's where I think the other benefit is it's a good place to make great money.
This is BetterWealth with Caleb Williams. All right, we're going to talk about real estate wholesaling, and this is a really, really good strategy for people that want to hustle, that want to make money, and might not have a ton of money, but want to get into the real estate game. I'm here with Matt Fore. He hosts Ice Cream with Investors, a podcast focused on helping people, especially in the real estate world, know what options there are and get the scoop on what they should be investing in. Matt, thanks for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate the plug on the pen.
I'm trying. It's like we're like in this series, and I'm like trying to mix up the beginning and ending, to try to keep you on your toes. But wholesaling is one of these things that I am a big fan of. And if someone comes to me and says, Caleb, I want to do real estate, but I have no money to my name kind of deal, and they want to do real estate, I point them in the direction to learn more about wholesaling, because I think it's the fastest way to get money in the bank.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, just to kind of give a definition around it, wholesaling is basically buying and selling property off market. So what I like to think of it is you're a problem solver. You're finding owners of real estate out there that have a problem, and you are connecting them with a buyer for a fee. And I want to be clear, you're not trying to kick anybody out of home, but some people run into issues where they're underwater on their mortgage. They're behind on their mortgage. They're behind on their taxes. They need to move quick. They want cash for another investment. They need cash to solve an emergency. And as a wholesaler, you are trying to find those people and then marry them up with investors.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, just restating what you pretty much said. It's one of those, find a home that maybe someone's in distress, maybe like they don't want to work with a realtor, because in most cases, I think everyone would admit, if you have time and the luxury to go to the market, you're going to get more money for that house. But this is someone that needs money fast, and what you're able to say is, okay, you agree upon this is what we would sell your house for, and then you go and you create a little bit of a premium there. You sell it, you give them the money, and you take the difference.
Right. You're selling the contract. And so when you talk about going to the open market, yeah, I mean, people, when they go think about their house, they're like, oh, my house is worth $100,000. I should be able to get $100,000, and you're only offering me 95. But what they fail to realize is there's realtor fees, which are about 6%. You have to make sure your property is in pristine condition, because most people that are buying properties on the MLS want to make sure that, the paint matches and there are no scuffs on the wall and things like that. You usually have to find buyers who go through the underwriting process through a bank. So you're talking about another 30 to 40 days. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why somebody would take less money going through a wholesaler than going to the open market and taking the time and doing the rehabs that are necessary and getting their property in pristine condition and leaving on a Sunday so that people can tour the house for an open house and things like that. Wholesaling is just a quick, easy way to offload your property if you own it.
So let's talk about the pros to wholesaling, and then let's also talk about the cons.
Yeah, so the pros really are, it requires very little money. I mean, if you show up into a new town with a cell phone, and the ability to go knock on doors, you can pull data to find potential distressed buyers, potential people who might be leads, and you can go knock on their door. I mean, literally for $100, you could get involved in wholesaling and make astronomical profits. And that's where I think the other benefit is it's a good place to make great money. I've seen wholesaling fees as little as $5,000 on some of the deals that I've done. And I've heard about wholesaling fees over six figures.
Wow.
So, I mean, if you're out there wholesaling luxury homes, I mean, you can make probably $100,000, $250,000 on a transaction. So from going to not having much money in the game, from like $100 to a couple thousand for a marketing campaign to a $250,000 wholesale fee. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal. The last part I would say here is that if you know you want to get involved in real estate in a specific market, it's a fantastic way to learn the market, learn the areas, and meet other real estate investors. So I find that when I walk into a new market, usually the people that are really connected in that market are people that wholesale, because they know all of the real estate investors in the area.
Yep. Love it. What are some of the cons? And one of the cons that I just want to throw out there, you said if you have $100 for your name and cell phone, but I feel like there is some knowledge that needs to happen with contracts. And I know of someone that spent a lot of money at a workshop learning this, and I don't know if that person needed to spend all that money, but he did learn quite a bit, and as a result, it helped them kind of understand how to negotiate and make the deals happen. So one of the potential cons that I see is there is some learning. I don't know how much of a learning curve there is, but is there any other cons?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's learning, right? I've never personally wholesaled, so I'm not going to tell you that I know all of the ins and outs, but I will say that I've seen advertised free contracts on the internet and things like that that are just a page long, because really that's all a contract is you're saying you seller own this home, me buyer have the option to buy home, and then there's another contract that says you potential buyer are buying my option to this contract. So I mean, it's not really that difficult if you kind of understand that, but you need to learn how to market and have these conversations. There's a couple cons I would say though, is there's no long-term wealth accumulation in wholesaling. It is transactional, right? And every wholesaler I know eventually gets into owning property, whether it's fix and flip or buy and holds. So it's very transactional. If you stop working, the money stops coming in. Yep. And I believe in buying cash flow streams. And that's why I love real estate, is because I can buy a little cash flow stream, and there's no real cash flow from wholesaling. The second thing is it's very hands-on and active.
Yep.
So this is not a passive activity where you can just throw a website out there and people will come saying, I want you to buy my house super cheap and sell it to someone else for a profit. Like it's very hands-on. And then the last is, as real estate investing has become more popular and as more people get into it, wholesaling is very hyper competitive out there. So it is a very competitive industry, and you won't be the only wholesaler in town. So
yeah, so I think the pros are, if you're just getting started, it can be a good way to get connected. It can be a good way to get money in the bank, and it can be a good way to just understand and learn real estate. I think, again, are you going to meet any billionaires or even multimillionaires hustling, doing the wholesale game? No, because there gets to a point where you are trading your time for money, and it can be good money and it can get you in the game, but long-term wealth, like you were saying, needs to be built around cash flow, and this is not, you're not inherently doing wholesale that's going to put money back in your pocket. And so anyways, is there any summary that you want to do on the wholesaling game?
I think you nailed it, right? If you've got more time than money, this is a fantastic place to start in your investor journey that will only pay you dividends over time, because not only are you meeting other investors and getting to know the market, you're learning a skill set on how to hustle, how to market, and how to do sales, which will be invaluable to you long term. So if you're out there thinking about, like, I want to get involved in real estate, but I don't have very much cash in the bank right now, how do I get involved? I would encourage you to look at wholesaling.
This is one of my favorites because I don't see any downside, like, monetarily. Like, you can spend some time, but at the end of the day, you're getting to know people, you're building your knowledge base, and I just am a big fan of being in the trenches working. And again, will you do it with your situation, where you're at? Probably not. It would be a waste of time for you and a waste of time for me at this point. And we got to where we were because we picked an avenue and hustled. And this is a great place to do that in the real estate space.
Our hustle came in different avenues.
Yeah.
Had I known about this when I was 21 or 20, I mean, it'd been great.
You could have had some life-changing money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love it. All right. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening to the BetterWealth podcast. It would mean the world to me if you could hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this with the people that you know and love.